Welcome to Your Story Doesn't End Here, the mental health podcast for military and veterans. I'm your host, Rachel, and my mission with this podcast is to be a voice for those who don't have a voice, bring awareness to mental health issues, and provide value and solutions to help make life more abundant. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming back for another episode of Your Story Doesn't End Here. Today's guest is Mary. She is a 14-year Navy veteran. She was an AO. She joined out of Northern California at the age of 22, and she was inspired by the fact that she noticed there was a change to be made. There's a shortage on choices when it came to feminine hygiene products and needs, which means there's a lack of acknowledgement. There are organizations that send care packages to service members, but there is nothing that caters to just women and our needs. She believes that it is all about self-care, and that is important. And also believes that mentally more acknowledgement would help with women's mental health. Mary, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me and asking me to do this. I'm so excited and nervous.
So I would absolutely love to hear just more about your story, your background, your time in the Navy, the time since you've been out of the Navy, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Awesome. So 14-year Navy veteran. I just got out last April, so almost a year now. I think just during my time in and just kind of being observant, especially at my age. I mean, I didn't join when I was 18. I had already, been somewhat grown. I wouldn't say 22 is fully grown, but, going through those years and really coming in contact with certain individuals, bad leadership, good leadership, seeing the effect that it has on junior sailors. So I just really felt like when I got out, I still wanted to feel connected in some way to the Navy and still try to make a difference, even, trying to still be a mentor to, the younger female generation, because I mean, as you know, and so many others who are in or have been in know that female leadership is rare. And then, with women still, I mean, there's a lot of us in the military. There is a lot of us, but not a whole lot of women stay in for, 20 years. So the leadership isn't always there. So it was just important to me to still continue to mentor. And I still wanted to be there. And after observing my time, my time in, the lack of acknowledgement is the best way to describe it, because, we all know, like, just going to the ship store, you're not going to find anything other than Suave or bar soap, Zest soap, And I think that if the Navy in general could just acknowledge that, women have different needs, our self-care, our state of mind, our peace of mind, would be better. So that's kind of where it started as far as with my plan for the boxes.
Yeah, so just to kind of get some background on that, because I know we haven't really talked much about what you're doing. You send out boxes to women that are deployed, and they're like self-care boxes. And I think it's so amazing that you do this. Kind of like I said in your bio, there are little things here and there for women. I remember when I was on a detachment in Bahrain, we got like generalized care package boxes, but they weren't specific to women. And I actually have never been on a boat. I was with a squadron that flew out to our detachment sites. And so I spent 6.5 years in the Navy, never saw a boat one time. And so if you could just kind of lay some foundation for our listeners who haven't ever experienced a deployment or maybe haven't been on a boat, and then talk a little bit about what it is that you provide that kind of fills that gap for women.
Yeah, definitely. So initially it started off as boxes for deployed service women, but then I started to think about the sailors that I put in the Navy as a recruiter and how I was still connected with them. And I saw how they were feeling lonely because they're away from home and living in the barracks or even still living on the ship. So it turned into, okay, now this box can literally just go and be a nice something for women everywhere, that wherever they are around the world, whether it's the barracks room or station in Bahrain, Diego Garcia, or you're on a carrier, it doesn't matter. The what we need as women, I do my best to put in the box. So I'm constantly searching for items that, I get feedback on as far as, what the needs and wants are. I stay away from what I like to call gas station snacks. I won't put a bag of Doritos or, Slim Jims, although those are nice every now and then, but you can literally get that in the vending machines or the ship store, or all that stuff. But basically, you're going to definitely get your feminine hygiene products, and you're going to get a variety of those items. So whether it's a certain brand of pads or tampons, we're looking into, cups and, body washes, things like that do get put into the box. And then there's also those items where, we just need to have that lavender body lotion, to help us go to sleep at night, or it just makes a difference because, we are away from home, and maybe there's just something that kind of helps us stay connected, I guess, in a way, or not feel so alone.
So how big of a problem is this? Because I know obviously what I experienced. My experience is going to be a lot different than the next person's experience. And I know it's very individualized. But let's say like on a boat, or even in your experience in the time you were in, how big of a problem is it when it comes to like women's specific products that they need? And how bad is it affecting women's mental health in your experience?
Oh man, I mean, I can obviously speak from experience. When you don't have the most simple, basic necessities, who wants to walk around? And I hope I'm not being too, in detail, but, what if you run out of your product and you have to place toilet paper there instead, like little things like that. Like we females have to, work through or try to, overcome, when really you shouldn't have to overcome those things. Those things should be provided to you. The ship store should not run out, or they should not limit you, to. When I've come across other companies, organizations, mom Facebook groups, and they'll send out mass care packages, which is great. They send out all these packages and they shove it with socks and toothpaste and whatnot. And there was a picture posted in a group, and, oh, we just sponsored this department, we're going to send it all. And I was detailing the picture. I was trying to find feminine products, and there wasn't one, not one. And it hurt because, I'm looking at it, I don't see it. I reach out to the group and, the admin person, and I didn't get a response. And it's like, hey, you do realize that there are women serving next to your son or your husband or whatever. So if you're sending stuff to the entire department, maybe also include, leave-in conditioner, something. They get their gel for their hair, right? The guys, or their whatever it may be. So,
So you're saying that the stores are actually running out of products and or limiting these products for women. Is that a common occurrence?
From what I've seen, yes. And the quality isn't there always. And what is the word I'm looking for? There's no like selection. There's not a huge selection to pick from. So it's like, well, typically I wear tampons or I wear a thinner pad, but yet they have these long pads available, and that's it. That's all you get. And that does do something to us, I think. So
Wow, that's insane. I know that when I was out at the detachment sites I was at, we had like the little mini store and it didn't have a huge selection, but it still had like some pretty decent name brand things. But I think that when it comes down to it, I see a lot of women in the military that maybe don't necessarily want to be on birth control, getting on birth control because of issues like this where it's like, well, I don't want to be on birth control, but I know birth control is going to limit or stop my period, so I don't have to deal with these things. And so I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, of understanding that women do have different needs, especially when you're not near like a mainland where you can get these products. So are women just typically relying on like family members to send them these things, or what's the process? Do they just have to wait for this ship store to restock?
So I don't know the process of supply, right? I didn't work in supply, but what I do know is that, yeah, there is a lot of times where family, they send out these things to their sailors or Marines, whatever branch they're in. But then you have those young ladies, those women who have nobody to send them anything. And I remember where my shipmates were not getting care packages when they were deployed. They had family sometimes, and sometimes they were fighting with their husbands, or things were just not, a healthy environment for them. And when you're away on deployment, you just feel even further and more alone from the world. So that's why I have also included the sponsor program so that anybody can connect with me and say, hey, I would love to sponsor, so and so. And I think that's great that they get the opportunity to still support us other than just, maybe throwing money into a GoFund or, some other organization that it's just going to send toothpaste and socks. So that's why I offer the sponsor program. So that way, I try to connect them with a sailor who maybe is a younger, like a junior sailor or Marine. But that's not always necessary. I'll connect them with pretty much anybody. So.
I love that. And so aside from the sponsor program, are you just funding this whole endeavor yourself, or do you have any other way to collect donations or anything for what you're doing?
So yes, I do everything myself. I have funded this since day one. I do all of the shopping, all the packaging, all of the mailing. I do all the advertising. Everything is just done by me. One woman show. I do sell other merchandise, t-shirts, challenge coins, but those also cost money. So everything that I get, it just goes right back into the organization.
And you said that you're sending out 35 to 40, I think you said, a month. Is that correct?
Yes. They're not all subscriptions, but they are all, some of them are from individuals who just want to send one care package to somebody. And that's just another option on the website, is where they can click on that one-time care package and they can send it to whoever they want, or they say, hey, can you pick somebody? And I send it out.
So where can people find you if people want to support you, if they want to sponsor a sailor, or if they just want to find out more about what you're doing?
So you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and that's where there's a lot more of the interaction with women of all the branches, past and present veterans. So it's the Facebook group, Lulu's Liberty Honoring Women in Uniform. And then we also have an Instagram, which is mostly just for fun, basically. And then we have the website, so the lulusliberty.com. And that's where you can sponsor, send a care package, buy a t-shirt. Everything goes right back in. So
awesome. Well, I will link that below for anyone who wants to check out what you're doing. Mary, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing a little bit more about what you do. I think that your mission is so vitally important. and that it's not talked about enough. And so I appreciate you just spreading the word, and hopefully some people get in contact with you, and we can support even more women sailors.
Thank you again for having me on. Yeah, this is, it's definitely something that needs to get talked about more. So women and mental health women in the military and mental health are very important to me. So definitely, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen in today. Each week, I'll be bringing you value in the mental health space and its direct impact on service members and veterans. If you feel you personally got value today from this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a 5-star rating and review and share this to your audience. Until next time, remember, your story matters, your mental health matters, and your story doesn't end here.